Hello, this is Clayton with Aeromotive Research and Development Group. Today we're going to be talking about a presentation regarding the CNR radiator, which was used with over 2,000 short track racing miles with the SynMax Water Kooler product. And at the end of the year there was an accident, championship race, and we got the radiator from it. So we're going to show you some good things of what this is all about. Now, what this is concerning is that the short track radiator was used with a steel block and aluminum radiator, so it showed protection of aluminum and steel. So even though in NASCAR we might have a different design engine or engineering, the theories are still the same. How do you protect the steel and the aluminum so that they don't look like they're fighting each other like in this picture? Oh, I say, well, what's SynMax Water Kooler? Well, what it does is it has the ability to provide thermal system performance repeatability for overall coolant system efficiency. It'll increase heat transfer and convection capability, film boil and nucleated boil. It'll reduce the overall temperatures in the cylinder head and contamination of the coolant system, and reduce foaming and cavitation. And so what this treatment does by itself is that you're able to use it with distilled water, and it's a fantastic product, which we're going to talk about a little later. Now here's the radiator. This is the radiator before it got cut. Okay, so we had the CNR radiator, which is commonly used in short track racing. Now we know that the radiators in your NASCAR or high-end applications are going to be much more expensive and with greater detail, but the theories that you're going to see are very, very important. So here we put it on the bench, and then we just cut it in half right down to the cooling tubes and fins so that you can be able to see that. And so we cut the tanks off so you can be able to see the tanks and the cooling tubes, and you can see that in great detail. This is not a false thing. It really was this clean. Now in the cutting of the bench, we could be able to see here's the tubes in the tank. So you can see the tank was clean and the tubes were clean. Here's a little, now the bluish color you see there was actually from my shirt. The greenish color was a light. But what happened here in the cutting of the detail in the pieces, you can see how clean the cooling tubes were and the tank operated. Now here's multiple pieces that you can see where we actually went into the tubes and we cut and we split them apart so we can see in the middle. So this is the center and the hottest part of the radiator. As you can see, it's clean throughout the entire system here. All right, all the tubes are clean. Why do you need that? And furthermore, we're going to get into, because the protection, you have little to no system pressure. That's from the metal alloys. And the hydrogen that comes out, hydrogen gases that come out, it doesn't happen on this system. So you can see how clean it is. So if this can be affected on a $600 radiator, imagine on your $6,000 radiator. Here's a closer look, as again we had reflection of some blue coloring, which had nothing to do with anything. This is how clean it is in the tubes of the radiator by using SynMax. It is an amazing product with the water cooler treatment. Now, here we go. After 2,000 racing miles of super late short track racing, the SynMax Water Kooler system product uses directed with commercial distilled water or in the premix from beginning the radiator use. The picture evidence shared within the presentation confirms that it controlled and protected the entire coolant system in passages and surface. Furthermore, the engine passages, coolant passages, were just as clean. Maintaining coolant system cleanliness allows the ability for the heat transfer chemistry to work and provide continued performance repeatability within the coolant system. Here's a similar radiator made by, it's called Fluidyne. All right, it wasn't the CNR radiator. It had another 2,000 miles on it. Now this individual didn't start out with the SynMax right away. He put it in like halfway through the season to keep everything clean, where the CNR radiator, that application, it started from brand new. But what you can see is after 2,000 miles, very light amount of contaminants in there. Okay, very little to none. Here was a situation where, again, with the fluid-on radiator on the right, it's somebody like about 3/4 through the season, and the motor was a little used, began to use it, and that's why it wasn't as clean as the CNR radiator, which that's what happened when it was used from brand new. But it still was able to keep it clean and cool through the coolant passages. And then on the left-hand side, you can see the rust and contaminants. You say, what does that mean? Well, this is the difference between having steel and aluminum protection and not having steel and aluminum protection. Now, furthermore, this means that the radiator will last to its full life cycle. All right. So the only thing that's going to kill this radiator is a concrete wall at 100 miles an hour. Hear what I'm saying? Which we kind of saw with the CNR radiator. Okay. So what we're going to be able to do here is you can make the choice right now. Do you want to stay with the current program? Then when you open the cap, it looks like a muddy Mississippi River? Or do you want everything to be clean and efficient, which can give you performance repeatability, cooler cylinder head temperatures, and a radiator that will last, all right? Because the tubes won't have to expand and contract as much with an operating cooler. Now, in general, let's go over this again, all right? If you want to be able to buy the concentrate, you can. One bottle will treat up to 3 gallons of distilled water. What's very important is that this will fulfill what we call the 5% FIA treat rate. Now, that 5% treat rate also works with, in the system, can work with NASCAR, IMSA, SCCA, drag racing. It doesn't matter. That is the standard. FIA is the international body which sets that. So we'll provide thermal system performance repeatability. The overall system will run cooler, heat transfer, and convection capability. The cylinder heads, overall temperature, combustion chambers will run cooler. Actually, historically, which we'll get into in a little bit, the delta difference in the radiator from the heat to the cold in 120-degree condition using SynMax Water Kooler is actually a 40-degree difference from the inlet to the outlet, with 5 degrees being pulled off the cylinder heads. The hotter it goes, the better it works. All right. You're also going to have protection with foaming and cavitation, steel and rust and aluminum, water pump bearings and seals, and with a cooler combustion chambers, you can have a little more spark for more power. Now, if you don't want to have to buy the concentrate and then mix it with the distilled water, it's very easily, you can buy the premix, all right? And this is a racing coolant product. It's not an antifreeze. Okay, if you want an antifreeze, then we've got a product called Aeromotive Coolant, which is a bio-based high-performance product designed for the military and racing. But right now, you can be able to get the coolant, racing coolant product, and it'll work you really well. Now, beyond multiple thousands of people that have used SynMax Water Kooler, since 2012, IndyCar engine manufacturer provided a specific technical directive for the use of SynMax Water Kooler within the engine. And here we've got, it's actually used from the engine build, dyno session through performance the entire time. The only fluid that touches that motor is this product. It's the truth. All right, it's not a sales, it's the truth, all right? So you got a 2.2 liter V6 that produces up to 700 horsepower at close to 12,000 RPMs, actually about 11,800. And it's the only coolant chemistry which is used by this IndyCar engine manufacturer and with this PWR designed radiator or whatever, and for 5 manufacturer championship years so far in 2012, 13, 14, 15, and 16. We want to thank you for the time that you spent with us together and reviewing the CNR radiator for the short track racing application for the cleanliness and evaluations with the pictures. And we've had hundreds of people that have the same results, and we hope that you can be able to have that too. So if you have any questions, please get a hold of us here at Aeromotive Research and Development Group at our email. So on behalf of Wayne Lensing, who, built thousands of race chassis and has worked with many, many people for the last 20, 30 years, racing radiator cleanliness and performance equals championship results. So if you'd like to buy a water cooler, contact them at www SynMax Oil at 815-389-9999. And on behalf of Wayne Lensing, Danny Lensing, Performance Parts Supply, Left-Hander Chassis, and the SynMax Performance Lubricant Group, we want to thank you for the time together. Again, if you have any technical questions, please review the other presentations or send us an email at office@aeromotiveresearch.com. Thank you, and we will see you at the next presentation.